England are in the semifinals of the World Cup for the first time since 1990 and only the third time overall. Well done, England. Well done, England. Look, this generation of players, they're going to go down in history at the very least. They're going to go down in history as the third most successful English national team in the history of the World Cup. Is it due in large part maybe because of the side of the bracket that England fell on? Yeah, I mean, that plays a role, but I think that this English team is a side whose sum is better than their parts. And under Gareth Southgate, this English team, as opposed to the way they looked in previous World Cups in 2010 under Fabio Capello and Roy Hodgson in 2014, who I feel was not a bad manager, but that's besides the point. This English team has more of an identity. And they've been getting progressively better with each passing game. They've improved. Can't really assess the group stages because Panama, Tunisia, and then they fielded a B team against another Belgian B team. So it wasn't really until the round of 16 against Colombia that I think I really started to notice England begin to pick up steam. And just the way that they were tactically set up, how organized they were against Sweden. I didn't think they were going to beat Sweden by more than a single goal. My prediction for England's match against Sweden was England would win, I think it was 1-0, and I said Danny Rose would score the other. I said somebody other than Harry Kane would score. Beat them 2-0. And in all honesty, in this match with Sweden, could have put 3 or 4 past them. So Harry Maguire scoring off a set piece. This is sort of becoming England's strength in this tournament. They're becoming a side that has been very good, very efficient on set pieces with corner kicks, indirect free kicks, penalties. I believe Harry Kane has scored 3 penalties this World Cup, not including the shootout against Colombia. So technically 4 penalties he has scored. Fun fact about Harry Kane, I had no idea the dude was my age. He's born the same month as me. We were born in the same week. We're the same age. I thought he was older. I thought Harry Kane was like late 20s, like 28, 29, but 24. Wow. But anyway, he could become the youngest captain, I think since how many years? Ever? To win a World Cup with his national team. He's the captain of this England team. 24-year-old captain lifting the World Cup trophy. I mean, that's something special. A guy born the same week as me. I mean, my God. So he's a celebrity that I almost share a birthday with. No, I'm not going to tell you my birthday. But in this match, I think England, look, they're not a great side. England is not a top 5 national team. I mean, I think that's something most England fans can reasonably come to terms with. This is not a team that is in the top 4 or 5 national teams in the world, but sometimes tournaments just don't work that way. Teams get to finals based on merit, not based on how highly esteemed they are. And England, they wound up on this side of the bracket. They didn't intend to. They played their last match against Belgium aiming to win. They just happened to land on this, and what happens, happens. Same thing with Portugal in Euro 2016. But I watched England in this match against Sweden, and for the most part, they did a really good job of shutting down anything that Forsberg and Marcus Berg had going forward. And the only time really Jordan Pickford was troubled was in making a couple of saves against Marcus Berg, and even Marcus Berg's second attempt on goal in the second half was absolutely atrocious. Sweden didn't really threaten England that much, save for a few opportunities here and there. England did a really good job of keeping Sweden's, I guess, threat on a very minimal level. And this was the best England game of the tournament. If you're a team in a World Cup and you go on a deep run, it's my opinion that you want to hit your peak in the quarterfinals. You want your best game to be in the quarterfinals. Excuse me, not your peak, but you want your best game to be in the quarters. You want that to be your breakout game. You want that to be your breakout game because that's when you start hitting your peak. And this is the best performance I've seen England has in the World Cup. It was only real, like I said, they didn't really have a test against Panama. They beat them 6-1, but it's Panama, a team that was just happy to be there. Against Colombia, it looked like they had dropped the narrative because they conceded late on through Yerry Mina's header. And then on penalties, when Henderson missed his first, it looked like they were going out, but they held their nerve, and they finally got over that psychological hump, right? The mental barrier of going through a penalty shootout, which we all know England is famous for failing in. And I just think Gareth Southgate, I look at the way he has his team set up, and I look at Gareth Southgate, I watch a lot of his interviews. He seems like a very humble guy. A very humble guy. And this England team, for the first time in really living memory, this is an England team that's not taking anything for granted. In English teams in World Cup pasts, teams that were much better than this England team. The 2002 and 2006 generation with John Terry, David Beckham, Ian Robinson in front of goal. I just think that this is an England side that looks humble. England look very humble. They look humble because they've been humbled in recent years. Euro 2016 against Iceland, 2014 World Cup group stage exit. So I said when the draw came out, it was time for England to have a decent World Cup. My final predictions did not have them getting this far, but I'm not really surprised. I'm not really surprised they got this far because even though they aren't one of the best sides in the world, they're still England. When you think of the big names in world football, England's always going to be a big name. They're one of the only 8 countries to win the World Cup. They're always going to be in the conversation, especially after this World Cup, as they look to build towards the future. This is a youngish team, inexperienced, but they have a sort of blueprint that has been not pretty, but it's been effective. They're not. I got to be honest. From an aesthetically pleasing standpoint, I don't enjoy watching England because I think that there's not a lot of individual quality on this team. I mean, that's just my opinion. I'm just one guy on YouTube. So just take that for what it is. But they fully deserve to be here. And you see it all the time. I saw the post-match brief interview with Harry Maguire after he scored the header. One of the reporters asked him, is it coming home? And he said, hopefully, fingers crossed. They're not getting overconfident. And that's something that has really plagued English teams for several World Cups in the past. This is a side that seems to know their place in the grand scheme of things on the global stage, and they're just taking it one step at a time. It's a step-by-step process, and they're getting there. Honestly, I respect that. I really do. I really respect that, and I think they're going to get to the final. I mean, I'm going to make a prediction video for that, but I'll go ahead and tell you right now. I think England are going to get to the final. And then they get to the final, anything could happen in the final. Portugal, Euro 2016, they went on the, fair side of the bracket, and they upset France in the final. If we get a France-England final, all I'm going to say is I see shades of Portugal. I see shades of Euro 2016. That's all I'm going to say. But this is the best opportunity for England in a whole generation to bring football home, right? The thing they say, it's coming home. There's even a song for it that I listened to for the first time the other day. Kind of catchy. Kind of catchy. But I can see how it can be annoying if it's repeated over and over and over and over again. But anyway, I get it. There's reason to be hyped. There's reason to be happy. But, for the first time in a while, most England fans, they don't assume anything anymore, right? Because of the fact that it's been so long that England has won something. So, that's great for England. Sweden was very disappointing. Very disappointing. It was kind of an unceremonious exit for a team that had reached this tournament after toppling giants in Italy, France, the Netherlands, contributing to Germany's elimination in the group stage, even though they lost to Germany. A little bit disappointing. I thought they should have kept this game a little closer, but they're no longer England's boogie team, that's for sure. So yeah, that's my reaction to the game. I just think that this was England's best performance thus far, which is very good when you get to the quarterfinals and you have your best game. I think they're only going to peak from here, and if they get to the final, you're just 90 minutes, 120 minutes from glory, because a final's just completely different. I was on the have hope. I was on the have hope. I bit my tooth. I was on the have hope football hangout earlier today, this evening, and he said something that I agree with. A final's completely different. Psychologically, the atmosphere, it's just different. When you get to a final, it's almost as if every game preceding it that you played in to get there doesn't matter. It's just a whole different level. It's a whole new element when you're in a final of a major tournament. Teams get much more desperate to pull off the win. And against France or Belgium, they're playing against a Belgian team that they were in the same group with. They didn't play Belgium's best, but Belgium didn't play their best either, so we could see a rematch from the group stage of Belgium-England in the final. I give England a good chance. I think that defensively they're going to be very difficult to break down. And then against France, France is another football rival of England. They're going to be extra motivated there to get their second title over France. It'll be a World Cup final between two countries that have only won it once, and whoever wins it gets the bragging rights over the other for having won their second before they did. So, dare I say it, because of the fact that France or Belgium, one of them is going to eliminate the other, dare I say it, England are second favorites to win the World Cup. England are second favorites to win the World Cup. And in a World Cup that has been so historic and so crazy, I don't think England winning the World Cup would be crazy, necessarily, but it would be very much unexpected. Like, just below crazy. To cap it off with the best World Cup of the modern era, in my opinion, with the ultimate prize in football returning back home finally to its place of origin. That'd be kind of cool. It'd be kind of poetic in a way. But we'll see. They're coming up against a Croatian team that I think individually is better, but they haven't really been playing to their max potential in this tournament. Last two knockout games for Croatia, they've gone to penalty shootouts, so there's a question of whether or not they will be physically fatigued, maybe emotionally gassed. There's also a question of whether or not really Croatia is going to gel in time to play to their max ability. I'm doubtful. I think England are favorites in that match. Croatia can win, but anyone that's calling Croatia favorites, I have to disagree. I think England, of all the three other semifinal opponents you want, by far and away, you want Croatia. You don't want France right now. You don't want Belgium right now. You want Croatia. Maybe if Croatia didn't get pushed to extra time against Denmark and Russia, maybe I would lean towards them, but I just think it's going to be too much. I think it'll be too much, and I think England are just going to wear them down. And the longer the game goes on, the better for England, because you have to question again whether Croatia is going to be able to go to a third consecutive knockout game to extra time and maybe even penalties. And putting aside the whole physical, putting aside the whole psychological, just statistically speaking, you look statistically, it's very rare. I mean, Croatia would have to defy history to pull that off again. And then they would get to a final where they might have to even pull it off again. And when has that happened 4 times in a row, let alone 3? So, England, they're looking like they're going to be in the final. They look like they're going to be in the final. So, yeah, good luck to the 3 Lions.